terrain. Today we're going to talk about grass tufts. We're going to turn this hairbrush into these tufts to be used in terrain like this. It's a really simple build today. I hope you're looking forward to it. I'll see you after the bump. Thanks for coming. First things first, supplies. Really easy this week. You need a hairbrush or something else with the kind of bristles you're going to use. This one was one I had laying around. You get one from the dollar store, whatever. It just needs to be the kind with the appropriate bristles that stick up like this. There's other things you can use, but this is what we're going to use for the demo today. I'll talk about the other examples later on. You're going to need some paint, maybe. If you see, these were very light, and I did not like that they were so translucent you couldn't see them very well. So this is made from this brush, but in the meantime I spray painted this. It's got two different colors of brown on it just to put it on and give it some little variation. So I hit this with a spray paint. If you get a brush that's already got appropriate colored bristles or the natural type of bristles from like a cleaning brush, you won't necessarily need to paint them. This is just spray paint tossed on here so to make it quick. You're going to need some pliers to pull these out of the brush. I like these little needle nose pliers. It allows me to grab really deep right inside there. Oops, maybe the screen. Right down in there by the root of the, for want of a better term, plant, and pull the tuft out with the pliers. After that, you're going to need some tape. Tape is for holding them together while you glue them down. They want to spread out like this, and it makes them difficult to glue down. So in the meantime, they're going to be taped like these little tape flags here. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Then you're going to need a gluing surface, something where once you glue them down, you'll be able to peel it up and then take the tuft and put it where you want to glue it onto your project. But you want something that it'll come off of easy. I'm using this. It's a regular household tile. Works really well. You could use a plate, piece of glass. I tried using aluminum foil for these. Excuse me, aluminium foils for my friends across the pond. These are made with some different types of bristles, but they're all made the same way. These have a tendency, you can see right here, to peel the aluminum up with the glue. So I don't recommend trying on the aluminum surface. Now a sheet of aluminum might work. Okay, and then of course the last thing you're going to need is friendly hot glue. As with everything, I always use mine on low temp. That'll be fine. You shouldn't be doing anything where it's going to get close to your fingers, so it's not going to burn you. We are not using any foam, so it's not going to burn the foam. The plastic bristles can take a lot more heat than the heat gun can put out, but I still leave it on low temp. So that's it for supplies. I'll be right back and we'll start talking about the yoinking the little bristles out of here and how I do it to get the maximum effectiveness. The bristles on most of these brushes are put in with a tiny metal ring that goes around the flat strands of the bristles as they come out of whatever extruder machine they come out of. So it will band several of these together, then a machine forces that little metal ring in here and it holds the bristles in place. Some are done a little bit differently, but essentially that's the process. So down in here there's a small metal ring. We're not going to remove that ring, we're just going to glue that on in. If you can see it here, maybe inside the glue, that's not going to focus, that's alright. So I'm going to show you. I like to grab these as close as possible down by the base, twist a little, and pull out. And they come out just like this. Comes out in one solid chunk, and then, as you can see, they're already starting to spread out. So we're going to talk about a process that I call wrap, roll, rip. This makes it really simple. I'm using tape. I'm using masking tape. You could use clear tape, whatever works for you, but I'm using my masking tape here. I take the end of that, get that ready. I take my little tuft, squeeze it up, press it against the tape, like that, sort of fold that over it. So that's the wrap. Roll once or twice around, and then rip. And when I rip, I like to leave this little tape roll because it allows me to take that and then hold it like this, so I can hold a bunch at once, and that way when I get to the gluing part I can glue 10 or 20 in a row rather than having to pull one, hold one, glue one, and start over. I can do a bunch at once. I can do all these little rolls, and then I can get to the gluing. So let's get to the gluing. I'm going to use this one that I'm already gluing on rather than the one I had at the beginning of the video. We are going to take these and put a little bit of glue on here and go around it. That's just to make sure we are actually getting the bristles included in there. So that's that glue, and while that is still hot, oops, a lot of stringers. While this is still hot, take the glue, make a little dollop on the board, and get off me. I tape myself to it. And hold it in place on the little dollop. Now, as you can see, it's going to want to try to fall over. So we'll take just a second to speed it up. Now, you can speed that up several ways. You can blow on it. You can have a fan blowing on you. You can squirt it with a water bottle that'll cool off the glue. You can put an ice cube against it, whatever you need to do. But as you can see, you just want to stand it. I had too much light. There we go. In that little dollop of glue. And then we just keep doing that. There's that little metal ring if you want to see it. Okay, so a little bit of glue on there. Wrap it around. A little dollop of glue. And place it in. And hold it till it stays up. Now this one I didn't get quite enough glue on. Let me get a little bit more. Okay. I found that you can also spin it in the glue to get better coverage, but essentially you're just wanting it to stand up in that little dollop. That little blob there. Alright. Once that's done, maybe eventually, there we go. Once that's done, you can just peel them off of the tile, and with the one that already cooled, I'll show you. You can see that's this one here, and they just pop off. Might have to stick a fingernail under them, but that just pops off, and that's going to leave you this flat base. Now I did this one kind of messy, so it's got these little tendrils sticking out here, but those can easily be nipped off with your cutters or with a pair of scissors. And what you're left with is a little piece that looks like this. Then you can just peel the tape off, spread it out a little so it looks like grass, and you're good to go. Now I'm going to do that with a couple of the brown ones, just so you can see the difference in the color. I'm going to speed this up, and I'm going to do that right now. And remember, all we're going to do is wrap, roll, rip. Now that I've done that with some of the brown ones, you can see those a lot better on video than you can with the clear ones. That's all there is to it. You've got a little tuft. Now, I'll be back in just a second, show you a couple examples of these. So stick with me for that, and I'll see you in just a moment. Okay, here's the ones I've finished in today. So these are the ones made out of the bristles from the hairbrush. Here they are unpainted. These are the painted ones. As you can see, there's a bit of a difference in how well they show up, but it all depends on which base you're going for. Now you can paint the bases of these so that they'll blend in better, but you don't necessarily have to do that. So a simple brown or gray, green if you're trying to blend it in with some vegetation, some color just on the bottom, you might want to do that. Or you can just hide it completely into the bases, or into the bushes that you're creating. Now here's some I made out of some other items. These and these came from, oddly enough, the same paintbrush. This was a synthetic brush, and the handle was being used for something else, so we tore it apart, and I kept the bristles. I've used it to make these tall blonde looking ones here, and these shorter black ones. Now the black ones are a thicker plastic, so they stand up a little more rigid, but as you can see, once I put them in the heat, they spread out a little once they're into the hot glue. So you can, if you want, continue to hold them like this, and you'll end up with some that are much tighter together. I think this is a good example of that. And if you just let them go, they'll spread out more, like this one and this one. Now these here are made from a rope. I honestly don't remember if this is a jute twine or a hemp twine, but this is basically just made from rope, where I took it and spread the fibers out and took them apart and just kind of twist them until I got them the way I liked them, and then glued those down. And they make a different type of grass with this sort of waviness to the stalks. Now you can trim all of these down really short if you want, if you're going for like normal grass tufts, but these are all supposed to be reeds and things by water banks and things like that. Now you can, like I said, trim them shorter, and you trim them any height in between there, but they're only going to be as long as the thing you start out with. So if I had cut these pieces of rope this tall, they would be the same height as these back here. I just opted not to do that. So that's them without them being on a base. Give me just a second, I'll be right back, and I'll show you some that are in with some foliage. Okay, here we've got some samples that are hidden in amongst the vegetation so that you can see how they look on the board to an extent. These, you can make them look like this, you can make them look however you want, but as you can see, this is put in with some foam clump foliage. This is put in with some moss and lichen, and this is on one of my stony looking bases. Here's the same again on a sort of grassy base. This is the foam clump foliage. This is the lichen, and then here I have one on one of my jungle bases. I don't know if you can see it very well in this light, but right in here is one of those taller ones that I did on the aluminum sheet, and it's right here, sticking up in this bundle of my jungle foliage. And if you look, I also have one of the smaller clumps with the rope foliage, the grass I did with the rope strands. So both of those are shown here on one of my jungle clumps. So that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you don't want to stick around after the bump, that's fine. Just please remember to like us, share, subscribe us, and show us around on social media. And we'll see you next time. If you do stick around after the bump, I'm going to show these off again one more time, and then I'll have some stills for you as well. So stick around for that if you want, or otherwise we'll see you next week. Thanks for coming to Campaign Terrain. I love you. My name's Cross, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for sticking around here at Campaign Terrain. I hope you've enjoyed this simple build. We'll be trying to bring you some others in the future that are just as easy and simple to do. Get your table covered with some scatter as quick as we can. So, I look forward to seeing your pictures of your destroyed hairbrushes or however you make your grass tufts. So hit me up on social media, like, share, and subscribe. I love you. I'll see you next time here on Campaign Terrain.